This week in Bible Stories, you may have heard about the story of how Paul stood as a witness before King Agrippa. Now, a witness is somebody who shares their testimony about the Savior to someone else. And we can be just like Paul, and we can share our testimony with other people, with our friends or with our family. I think this is going to be a really fun drawing to draw and to talk about. Let's get going. All right, so let's go ahead and start drawing this picture of Paul talking to King Agrippa. And to do this, I want to separate our paper into two sides. So we're going to put King Agrippa mostly over on this side, and we're going to put Paul over on the right side of the paper. And so I find the middle and maybe go a little bit more over to the right. So kind of like halfway and then halfway again. And then go up maybe a little over halfway up the page. And this is where I'm going to draw the square for Paul's head. So I'm just going to start right here and just draw a square. And this is going to be the back of Paul's head. And after we have his head done, I'm going to draw his body. To do that, I'm just going to do two long lines going down to the ground and then connect them at the bottom. And then we can put feet on him if we like. I'm going to use rectangles. You can do what you like for yours. And then we can decorate the back of his head here. I'm going to give him a headband right here in the middle, to make it look like he's maybe wearing some kind of hat. And you could put some kind of pattern in here. I think I'm going to draw some squares. It's always fun to, decorate our clothing. And maybe you could put some lines in the headband if you want. And then I'm going to give him some hair right here by just drawing some lines going down. And maybe put some ears right here on the left and right of him. And that way it looks like he's looking over this way towards where King Agrippa is going to be. And now I want to draw an arm on him. And you can do this just by doing like a stick figure arm, pointing in the direction you want. So right here, I'm going to do a line going out this way, as if he's putting out his hand to talk to King Agrippa. And then I want to draw the other side of his arm right there. And for his hand, I am just going to connect those with a little curve, just like that. Now we can put an arm sleeve on by drawing some lines here to decorate our clothing here. And for his other arm, I'm just going to draw his elbow sticking out, because maybe it's kind of in front of him while he's talking to the king. So I'm going to start up here and go out a little ways, and then go back in. And that way maybe it looks like both of his arms are pointing this direction. All right, so now you can put patterns on his clothes or whatever you like. I'm gonna put a couple things on here, maybe make a bottom part to his clothes here and give him some kind of a belt or sash or something right here. All right, so that's my finished Paul. Let's start working on King Agrippa. Now, since King Agrippa is a king, I think I want to put him a little bit higher than Paul. A lot of times kings like to be up higher so they can see what's going on, and maybe sometimes it represents the authority that they have or their importance to what they're doing for the people that they're over. So right here, I'm going to go from the top of Paul's head, and I'm going to go over here a little bit. So now this is halfway in between the other side of the page, and then go up a little bit. And this is where I want to draw King Agrippa's head. And I'm going to do a square up here, but I want to kind of tilt it sideways, because sometimes when people have their head sideways, it makes it feel like they're kind of listening to you or trying to understand what you're saying. So I'm going to, if you want to, you can turn your page a little bit and draw your square straight. Or sometimes it helps to put some dots in where you want his head to be. So you could put a couple dots here. I know I want my square to be here, and I'll put another dot here and here and here. And then I can see that my square is going to be tilted on its side. And you don't have to do it tilted on your side if you don't want to. That's how I'm doing mine, because people have all kinds of postures, and maybe you imagine this story a little bit different than mine. All right, so let's put some eyes on him, and I'm going to do them on the lower half of the square and make him look like he's looking over here at Paul. So I'm just going to do some dotted eyes right here, and maybe put a mouth on him. And I'm going to give him kind of like a leafy headband right here. And I'm just going to do a bunch of ovals. Thought that might be fun. But you can decorate your King Agrippa however you want. You could maybe give him a crown if you want. And then I'm going to put some hair on him as well, just by drawing a bunch of straight down lines right there. So there's his head. Now we're going to work on some of the other parts of him. So let's draw his body. So to do that, I'm going to find a place where his neck would be. And I'm just going to draw kind of straight down, and then go from the other side of his head and go down as well. All right, so that's the main part of his body. And then to draw his legs, I'm going to draw all the way across right there. And then we're going to go down to where his feet are. I think mine is going to come out kind of long, but that's okay. Everybody's picture can look different, and no two pictures need to look the same. And so down, when I get down to the bottom of this leg right here, I'm going to put a square foot right down here on the ground. And then put another foot. And you could put it closer or further away if you want. And then bring the rest of his clothes right down here to his feet. And then I'm going to connect the two lines right here in between his feet. And now this is his body, and then this is where his legs are at that are going to be sitting on the chair. And I want to draw some lines in here because I think that makes it look fun, and maybe give him a belt right here. You can put some lines in that just like we did with Paul. And maybe you can even decorate the top part of his clothes. I'm going to put kind of like a neck part right here. You could do like a curved neck if you want. I put kind of like a dip inside of this one. Now we need to start building this throne that King Agrippa is on. So to do that, I'm just going to go up. I already have this line right here for his leg, but I'm just going to go up a little bit further because we need to have a place for him to rest his arm on while he's listening to what Paul has to say to him while he's bearing his testimony. And so to do this, I can go over here, and maybe it sometimes helps to make some dots, but I'm going to make a rectangle. And it probably connects with this line. So draw an imaginary line over his foot and go over here, put a dot right there. And this is where I'm going to draw my rectangle for one of the arms of his chair. And now we want this to be in the same place on the other side. So we can put our pen here, lift it up, and then put it down when we get over to the other side, and do the same thing. We can draw another rectangle. You can use dots if it helps you know where you want to put your lines at. And then just draw the other part of his throne right here. Now we're going to put his arms on the throne. So he's got two places where he can rest his hands at. So I'm going to put one hand right here on top of this part of the throne. And then I'm going to draw his arm coming up from the top of his neck down to his hand, and do two lines just like that. So now you can see he's got one hand here. The other hand, I think I want to put it up on his head. So he's kind of like leaning on it while he's thinking about what Paul has to say. So I'm just going to draw a hand up here. You could do a square. I'm going to do kind of like a circle right here. and that's going to be his hand. And then from there, we can connect it down to the throne, because that's where his elbow is touching the seat of the throne. And then maybe his arm goes up like this. So we draw one more line right there. All right, so now we've got him sitting there. Let's do the back of the throne. So I'm going to start by putting 2 dots where I want the top of the throne to be. So maybe I want those to be right up here. And you can see sometimes it helps for me to put my fingers on here and decide where I want the picture, or I draw imaginary. And I'm going to put 2 dots on here. And then I'm going to connect these down and across. And just connect those to my throne. And then go across. And you can maybe put a longer rectangle on top of it if you want, if that makes it look interesting to you. And you can decorate this throne however you want. You could put like stripes or zigzags or triangles, but you could just come up with some fun designs of your own if you want to just kind of make this throne look like it's special in some way. Because he probably spends a lot of time sitting here on this throne, right? All right, there we go. So that's my finished drawing of Paul sharing his testimony with King Agrippa. Let's go ahead and start coloring this. You can color this picture whatever colors you would like. You don't have to pick the same colors as me. I'm going to start by coloring the king's throne. And I think for my throne, I'm going to use orange. Maybe this makes it look golden. But you can pick whatever colors you would like. And I'm just going to color this all in one solid color of orange. And I think this is a really great story, and it shows, I think, bravery on Paul's part, because sometimes it can be scary to share our testimonies or things that we believe with other people, because sometimes we might be afraid that they might not believe us. And I think it's interesting in this story that says that King Agrippa almost believed what Paul had to say about the Savior. And sometimes that's what happens, and that's okay. But I think what's important is we're sharing something that's very important to us with other people, and something that we want to share with people because we know it will bless their lives and it will make them happy, just like it has blessed our lives and made us happy. And that's why we share these testimonies with other people, which is what Paul was doing. So, and then I put some yellow in here to make this crown. Now I'm going to color, we could color the skin on King Agrippa. You can pick whatever colors you like for this. You could even do pink skin or green skin if that's what you like. I don't know if those are brown shoes, or maybe he wasn't wearing shoes. And then for his clothes, I think I want to make his clothes look like they're white. So I'm just going to put a little bit of blue in a couple places here. I think that's a fun way to just make things still look colorful even when they're white, because all of our paper is already white. And if you want to, you can add other things to this picture. You could add tiles on the floor or some kind of wallpaper or something behind it if you want to. This is your picture and the way you imagine this story. All right. And maybe I'll pick this gray color for his hair. Maybe he was an older, wise man. Or maybe he's young but just has gray hair. And then I'm going to put some green in here. I think that looks fun. All right, so let's go ahead and start coloring Paul then. I think I'm going to pick brown, maybe for his clothes. Sometimes people think of the color brown as a color of humility or being humble. Or maybe Paul just likes wearing the color brown. Or maybe he never wore brown. Maybe he didn't like brown at all. But I'm going to color his clothes all brown. You can pick whatever colors you like for yours. You could even put designs or patterns. I'd love to see what kind of things that you do with your drawing, because everybody's can look so different. Maybe we'll give him a red hat. That could be fun. You could put some blue in there. You could pick your favorite colors. We could do an orange headband. Maybe we make him match by doing these all similar colors right here. And maybe we'll give him some yellow hair. And maybe some light skin colors here. All right, so that's my finished picture of Paul speaking to King Agrippa and sharing his testimony. I'd love to see what kind of stuff you guys have made. So you can see how these all look very different. Your picture does not have to look just like my picture. You can be as creative as you want. You can see on this one, it has all these beautiful tiles down here. Looks like brick laid down in here. You have all this beautiful orange hair. You have patterns on Paul's clothes. I love that this one has some extra details like this large cat here, and you can see this light emanating from Paul as he's sharing his testimony, and these beautiful leaves up here. All of these are beautiful. They all show how we can share our testimonies. We can be as a witness just like Paul was to King Agrippa, and we can share our testimonies with other people, whether it be with our friends or our family. When we do this, it shows our love for the Savior, and it can help other people to know about the Savior as well. Thanks again for drawing with me, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.